Hey, what's up guys? Wildcard Gaming here. I hope you guys are enjoying your new year and hopefully your school year isn't going too bad either. So I wanted to do a video on explaining how to build your base. AKA, this is for you, right? So if you guys are new to the game, you obviously aren't very good at building a base just because you don't know how yet. So let's give a couple examples. First off, we're going to start with the 5 key defenses. You got your long range, not good at close range, splash, which is your mortar. Then you got your air defense, which is good at taking out dragons and balloons. Then you get your wizard tower, which is good at taking out smaller units like barbarians and archer. Then you get your archer tower and your king. Now these two are the first 2 defenses in the game you'll always have, basically. Now these 2 are pretty simple to get and pretty easy to upgrade. They're pretty cheap until you get up to about my level, which I'll show you the price in a minute. But the cannon is your stronger defense. This is good against ground. It focuses on ground, which means you'll have to put something like an archer tower, a wizard tower, or an air defense near it, so that way it doesn't have to deal with your air. And it can't because it's cannon, so keep that in mind. Whenever you're designing your base, you need to have archer towers, wizard towers, and air defenses and mortars in the right space to cover the most amount. For a couple examples. For example, wall layout is very important in your base, simply because you don't have a whole lot of walls. So protect your storages over your elixir and gold collectors. Having them outside of the wall may be your better option, such as laid here, where your defenses can still reach them, but they're not protected behind the walls. And that'll also work as a meat shield for your storages, so that way they don't just walk straight through and grab your gold. Lower, it's not as big a deal, but as you get higher, it's definitely a big deal. And back to wall placement, you can't have walls like this. It burns up too many walls. Although, they would have to break through a wall every time they break down a defense. You just don't simply have enough walls to protect your loot and your defenses, so you're better off doing this. Oops. Now that you know the kind of base design of building, let's get down to building a base. I'm Town Hall 9, so I have a lot of defenses you may not have yet, which is the ones I didn't put out there. A good example is I have an Expo. Expos are very good against giants and higher health targets such as golems. Then you got your heroes. I have to deal with heroes. Lucky you guys, you don't have to, so if you're watching this video, most likely you're just looking on how to build. Now, if you're looking for advanced tutorials, just leave a comment and ask. So let's get started. We're going to put our air sweepers in here, facing up and down. Sideways is not a big deal because that's where my air defenses are going to be. Now that we got that first out, we'll go ahead and get our clan castle, and that's the start of ours. Oops, sorry, I'm a little gassy. Belching is not good. So let's go ahead and start putting down walls. Now, put your strongest walls to protect your town hall. Remember, trophies are more important than loot. You can always get more loot. You can trophies, but it's harder. So protect your trophies so that way you can get loot. Because the higher your trophies are, the more loot you're going to find, which is the main goal at low levels. So you can see I protected my town hall like that. And my clan castle, this is the biggest tip. Always keep your clan castle in the center, because whenever your clan castle is released, all the troops inside of it will defend your base. Which, for example, I used to use Giant Healer to farm Dark Elixir, and whenever I dropped about 20 giants down, if 5 wizards came out, I immediately basically just said quit, because there's no point. They would destroy my giants completely. And I can tell you many times I've lost when I should have won because of something like that happening. So they can change the tide of the battle, so be very smart. Now, mortars, always keep inside your base like this. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. See how my mortar can reach my entire base nearly? If you have 4 mortars like I do, you'll notice that they can cover a whole lot of range with a whole little bit of things to do. And since they're inside, you don't have to worry about them being sniped off. Sorry. and that complemented with expos, strong and small troops will not be able to touch your base. And for example, skeleton trap there and a skeleton trap there will help that too. Now if we put our heroes here, there we go. Perfect. Now our core's done. Now we need to start putting more walls. Oh, you may not know about this, Ryan, but I have Dark Elixir, which Dark Elixir is a resource that you get higher level. Pretty expensive, so keep it in the center too. Almost forgot to mention that. So let's go ahead and start walling off a few things. Now remember, pockets are good. The more pockets you got, the more defendable your base is. But try to fit as much as you can inside there, in each pocket. Because the more pockets you have, and the less things go in it, the better off your defense will be. And keep in mind, you do not have to do this, but your storages are very, very enticing. Everyone's going to go after your storage. So put your wizard towers and your defenses near them. This will help you defend a lot. Smaller pockets towards the outside of the base is a better idea because there's more to break through. And once they get in the center, they're going to get focused through by everything. So you shouldn't even worry about your stuff at that point. Now, gold, in my opinion, is the most valuable. Elixir is important too, but if you think about it, most of the time, you're upgrading defenses and walls more than you're upgrading troops. So don't worry about your Dark Elixir or Elixir as much as you are your gold. My walls cost $1 million apiece, so yeah, that's a reason for me not to protect my Elixir as good as gold. But I'm not saying don't, because your Elixir is what makes your army. So without Elixir, you'd be dead in the water. So keep that in mind whenever you're building your base. But definitely don't just let it sit there. And crap, I just ran out of 8 walls. Time to go back to 7s. Now keep in mind, I have a lot of walls, so your base may not look the same as mine by the time you're done, but you're kind of getting the key aspects. I just want to give you a few examples so that way you weren't hopelessly lost when you started this tutorial on kind of how to make a base. Now I'm not looking for perfection, but if you can see, I made the same pocket there. Why am I doing that? Because I have hidden Teslas. Which, in case you don't know, if you're like me, you should. But if you don't, they will defend your base for you. They're very good. Now the way I'm doing this is I'm setting it up as a troll spot. No one's going to go in there, okay? But if they do, they'll figure out very quickly their attack is ruined. Because anything that steps foot into this area is probably going to die within the first few seconds, so don't even worry about the hole in the middle of my base. And let's get down to the trap mechanics. Traps are very, very awesome because they can change the tide of battle. Well, my 10 wizards that are the things taking out the entire base just got blown up by a giant bomb. Now I'm not getting a star. This sucks. Yeah, that's about how it goes. And as you get higher, you'll realize the traps actually affect you even more than you thought. But as a lower level, don't even worry about them. They're not worth the headache of thinking about them. Now, if you can't afford to arm them when you're lower level, that's fine. But when you're higher, if you don't have your traps armed, you're pretty stupid. AKA, this is not for you on that part, Ryan. In case you guys don't know who I'm talking about, Ryan's my friend, and he watches my YouTube channel. So, me and him do collaborations on Clash Royale, and hopefully do some testing on bases. When he gets higher, then he may actually enjoy this video a little bit more. Now, the way I'm setting up this base is setting it up to be a loot base slash anti-3 base. An anti-3 base normally uses traps like this to defend my loot. Because some guy's gonna be like, ooh, that's appetizing. Some gold storages, and normally I have a lot of gold, so it's probably going to be appetizing to him. Dark Elixir is even more appetizing. Fill your Dark Elixir storages up, make a trap base. these should be on your to-do lists. I promise you that. Because it will be hilarious watching how many stupid people fall for your traps. I'm not mean or anything, but it is pretty funny watching someone fall for a trap you set that you knew they weren't going to be able to break through. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's the other archer tower that I have? Oh yeah, it's a level 11. So we're going to put that up there. Put our other cannon down here. And, oh, there you go, we'll do this. Bomb tower. And, hidden Tesla. I can sit there. Giant building here. Like I said, they're going to try to snipe with farming attacks up here, which is why I'm making it appetizing up here, because that. I'm not worried about defense. But there are a few defenses, like I said, that are important to contain, like your archer towers. Cannons aren't as important, but if we have enough walls, we'll cover them too. Your most important will always be your archer towers, because there's more of them than there is anything else. And most of the time they're going to be using attacks that get affected by archer towers. So your placement on them is perfect, because it keeps them from sniping. In case you don't know what sniping is, it's where the attack buildings cannot hit that defense. So they're going to sit there and drop it, and they're not going to get attacked. So that basically means they get a free percentage, which can cost you a star. So try to avoid having those spots in your bases. Now, let's go ahead and talk about collector placement. Place them near defenses so that way they don't just get sniped and you lose some collector loot. Like I said though, collector loot isn't as important because if you guys have been listening this whole video, you should be. Basically, it's going to regen. The other stuff in your storages will not. So if you lose this, it's a little less depressing. I wouldn't suggest just leaving it unguarded or anything, but hey, it's not going to kill you. And another key aspect is make sure you cannot get sniped percentage off of, like I said. The less percentage they can get off of you, the better off your base will be. Oh crap, I walled that cannon off, but I didn't wall this one off. And it'll be alright. Kind of just throwing this together for an example more than anything. Alright. See how it's kind of defended pretty much everywhere? That's the key. We don't want any spot undefended, because that's when we get weak spots. Now, you can just kind of scatter your bombs and spring traps around the base. This is up to you. I'm just kind of throwing you in places that I think they may drop troops. Spring traps I'd recommend putting in like the center, because giants and your tanks, when they start to wear thin from dying from the outside, they get to the center and they lose most of the tanks, and the more DPS just soaks up on them. So try to clutter your spring traps inside. Now, this is a good base. It's not really good, but it's a base, and it's going to defend your loot a lot better than most of the stuff you're probably thinking of before. So maybe next time I may make it look a little bit better, and you can use my design that I have now if you want, if you're Tunnel 9, but let's just make it just as an example. More than anything, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and go check out Ryan's channel, Ryan Rocks. I forget the rest. Got to look at some other videos. I haven't been